ask someone how they're doing, how they've been, how their week is going, you have to actually mean it, right? Be genuinely interested in how they're doing.
Sales is tough. The last thing you want is to have unnecessary roadblocks put in your path. On today's episode, we're going to share with you 3 things that you need to know, especially if you're doing cold outreach, that can help you to make sure you actually land more appointments and find more success. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have a phenomenal guest. His name is Tanner Stewart. On today's episode, Tanner's going to give us some more thoughts and feedback on what he's doing right now that's helping him to be successful when it comes to cold outreach.
So I would say the 3 things. The first one is to be a human and treat your prospects like they're humans, because they are. The second is product selling versus solution selling. And the third is asking questions and knowing when, how, and what questions are important to ask.
Okay. Well, let's dive into the human part, because, that's something that people say. Like, I feel like sometimes it just gets placed with like platitudes, like, yeah, we know you need to be a human,
Right.
but it doesn't get done. So define that to me, what you mean by it, and then we can go into some examples of how we can do that.
Yeah, I think a big part of being human right off the bat is when you ask someone how they're doing, how they've been, how their week is going, you have to actually mean it, right? Be genuinely interested in how they're doing. And then I think when they ask you how you're doing, don't just say good and boom, like, here's my pitch. Give them something, right? Oh, it is Monday, after all. So I'm getting through it. Just be a human, right? People smell out the fake salesman stuff all the time, but they also smell out if you're just being genuine really quickly, right? And I think that helps them bring their guard down when you could just be a little bit more human.
Let's go into the next point here. So now I'm being human. The product, when you're doing the cold outreach, it's very tempting to go into the product knowledge,
right?
Versus like offering the solution. Talk to me about what you mean by this.
Yeah, so I guess if we segue from what we were just talking about, if I say, hey, we're seeing troubles with recruitment and retention across the board, are you guys seeing that same thing? If they say, yeah, like, who's not seeing that these days, right? Hiring sucks. No one wants to work. That is not my invitation to say, well, home care pulse, here's what we do, right? I think one of the things I actually wrote down was avoid the temptation to deep dive into your product. Just like that temptation to dive into your product, great time to ask a question. Once they tell you something, if you had told me, I asked you, well, what are you guys doing to help with recruitment and retention? And you tell me, well, we're on LinkedIn and we're doing tons of different outreach on Indeed. Well, I might follow that up with, is that working? How's that going? I think it's a trap we all fall into. Oh man, I got some information from them. That was my discovery. And then you base your whole call off that. Well, if you had told me, no, it's not really working, or if you told me, yeah, that is working, then that takes a call in a whole new direction with a really simple question. Is that working? How's that going?
Yeah. Tell
me more about that. We do have feedback in-house that we do actually. That's great. Tell me a little bit more about that. What does that look like? What sort of feedback are you guys getting? How often, right? Those little follow-up questions to help you dig a little bit deeper.
That's one of my favorite ones. Tell me a little bit more about that. I like throwing in there, like, even some emotions, like interesting. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and that leads me into the other part of asking questions is I went through it 100%. I will never not say I went through it. Once they agree to the demo, man, we are all just like, holy shoot, let me get you the link and then I'm done. Like, Here's the link. I'm out of
Let me
here. Please.
make sure nothing else can go wrong.
Yeah. Please forgive me. Please don't cancel the meeting we just scheduled 30 seconds ago, right?
Yeah.
That is the perfect time to qualify them. So they say, yeah, sure, Tanner, Tuesday at 4 o'clock. That works great. Okay, perfect. Let me ask you just a few quick questions before I let you go. That way we can make sure this is going to be a good use of your time and ours. People appreciate that. They want to know, okay, sure, I'll answer a few questions. I'm telling them it's only going to be a few. I'm not going to interrogate you. I know you probably do need to go. And sometimes I'll even say that as a way to book the demo. Hey, I realize this is the middle of your workday, but based on what you're telling me, I feel like we should continue the discussion. Let me ask you a few questions to make sure you qualify, for what we're doing. You have free reign right there to ask them some really deep questions. You might know pretty well what they're hoping to get out of the meeting, but one I like to ask is, if you had a magic wand, what do you hope that Home Care Pulse is going to be able to do for you? Tuesday at 4, what are you hoping to gain out of that meeting? And those are great notes for either myself, if I'm the AE, or if I'm the BDR, to throw those down and loop in the AE so we can get a really good idea. What are they hoping? And then you're giving your AE more time to actually show value rather than do discovery.
Come on. I love it. Absolutely amazing. Man, you hit on some good stuff here. And I feel like anyone who's listening to this, no matter if you're selling as a BDR or if you're an AE, or even if you're an entrepreneur just listening to this and you're in charge of selling for your org, like these things can apply and help you out so much. I think they're straight up down to earth and can help you land a couple more appointments. So, Tanner, if there's one major piece of advice from this that you want folks to leave with, what's that one major piece of advice?
I would just say, don't be afraid to be yourself and be human. At the end of the day, as scary as someone's title might be, deep down they're human as well, right?
That was Tanner Stewart, and if you haven't done so already, go back and connect with him on LinkedIn. You can find all of his details in the show notes. I love these examples. Number one, all around this idea of being human. Number two, about this knowledge, the knowledge in here of not just being an order taker or a product pusher, but somebody that's really focused on helping to solve problems, that gives help with solutions. Again, I want you to find more of your ideal customers. I want you to know what to say when you reach out to them. I want you to close more deals. But most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things. Thank you so much for watching.